Rusiate Rogoyawa saw snow for the first time in 1982. Only 6 years later, he represented Fiji at a Winter Olympics in Calgary. He had left Sikobi Islau, Fiji, for Oslo, Norway to study electrical engineering. His move placed him in a country where snow became part of his surroundings. After arriving, he began skiing on Norwegian snow, coached by Torbjorn Kulstad. He learned the sport in Oslo while studying electrical engineering, then pursued competition. In 1987, Rogoyawa contacted sports officials in Fiji about representing the country. The International Olympic Committee funded his participation through a program for first-time competing nations. This enabled Fiji's debut at those games. At Calgary in 1988, he entered the men's 15-kilometer classical event. He broke a ski early, finished 83rd, and became Fiji's first Winter Olympic athlete. He did not finish last in that race. A cyclist sprained her left hand on a Himalayan race course, rode the final 20 kilometers one-handed, and still finished second. The event was the Himalaya mountain climbing cycling race, held over 3 days in Kathmandu, Nepal, during November 2002. Yeung was racing in the women's division, while the full event included 150 cyclists from Europe and Asia. On the final day, Yeung hit a mud-filled pothole and sprained her left hand. The injury came before the course's steep downhill section. The injury happened during competition, not before the start. She kept racing for 20 kilometers with only one hand controlling the bicycle. Even on the steep descent, she matched her typical speed. The account gives no exact speed, only the comparison with her normal pace. Across 3 days, she finished second overall in the women's division after placing second twice and first once. That result put her behind only one competitor. A French song written for a film became Spotify's first French-language track to pass 1 billion streams in 2024. Patrick Watson wrote GT Laisserai des mots for the 2009 French-Canadian film Hidden Diary. Released in 2010, it began as part of a film score, not a global streaming project. In his Montreal studio, Watson played piano with a string quartet. Singing French felt difficult, so the first verse uses wordless vocalizing and relatively few words. Watson expected it to play beneath dialogue at the film's ending, so fewer words would leave space for the scene. The track found new listeners in 2019 when a YouTube video paired it with archival home movie footage. It then went viral on TikTok in 2021 and 2022. Those revivals moved the song far beyond its original setting. In December 2024, it crossed 1 billion Spotify streams, setting a language milestone with a piano-led recording. El Salvador and Honduras both claim the pupusa, a stuffed griddle cake, even though its ancestral roots cross modern borders throughout Mesoamerica. A pupusa is a handmade maize or rice tortilla filled with cheese, beans, squash, loroco, or chicharrón. Its earliest form belongs to Mesoamerica before European arrival, across areas now corresponding to El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. In 1570, Bernardino de Sahagún described an indigenous dish made from dough, beans, and meat. Then, in 1837, José Batters Montufar mentioned a similar dish in Nicaragua and associated it with San Salvador. Those records point to a shared regional food history, not a clearly proven exclusive modern birthplace. That makes one national origin difficult to establish. El Salvador later received a concrete national designation. In 2018, the World Trade Organization listed it as the pupusa's designation of origin. The dish's history remains regional while the legal designation names El Salvador. Fonterra moved milk truck collections from times as late as 2 a.m. into an evening window so Andy Oliver could keep his bedtime. It changed the farm's milk collection. Oliver lived on a farm in Te Rapa near Hamilton, New Zealand, and followed a fixed routine, greeting the tanker whenever it arrived. The tanker collected milk from the farm as part of that everyday routine. Pickups were irregular, sometimes arriving at 2 a.m. Oliver would stay awake until he had seen the truck, even when that meant waiting overnight. Seeing the tanker completed the routine he expected before sleep. After his father asked for help, Fonterra arranged collection between 6, 8:30 and 8:00 p.m., replacing uncertainty with a predictable evening window for Oliver. Oliver could keep his bedtime routine, and Fonterra also gave him a toy tank truck and a tricycle marked as its #1 fan at home. Undefeated replaced its bassist with 14-year-old Lise Dunkel. She did not yet know how to play bass, then learned the instrument in 7 months. Undefeated began in 2017 as siblings Meredith and Christian Dunkel, who formed the band in Lowell and Croghan, New York. Ian Burke joined on bass 3 months after their first concert. On August 7, 2021, Burke stepped down because he could not commit to touring. His departure left Undefeated needing someone to fill the bass position for its regular live schedule. The 7-month learning period ended with Lise taking the bass position. Undefeated now had Meredith, Christian, and Lise forming a 3-sibling lineup. Before the change, Undefeated had released the 5-song EP Shadows in 2020. The band later performed rock and metal at Soulfest in 2024, with Lise established as its bassist. Marcel Schwerzmann became a Swiss Cantonal Council member after finishing second in a transatlantic cruiser-class race from Gran Canaria to St. Lucia. Before entering regional government, he studied business administration at the University of St. Gallen. In 2003, he became head of Lucerne's tax administration. Born in Lucerne in 1965, he later brought administrative experience into public office. He worked there until his election to executive council. The sailing achievement came in 2002 during a race across the Atlantic. Its route ran from Gran Canaria to St. Lucia, and Schwerzmann competed in the cruiser class. He finished second among the cruiser class competitors. 5 years later, in 2007, he became the first independent politician elected to Lucerne's executive council. He was re-elected 3 times in 2011, 2015, and 2019, and served on the council for 16 years. The Atlantic result preceded a sustained career in Lucerne's regional government. Nobara Kujisaki fights curses with a hammer and nails. Yet her straw doll technique draws on Ushi no Toki Mari, a traditional method of inflicting curses. In Jujutsu Kaisen, the technique belongs to Nobara Kujisaki. Its tools are not decoration, they are the working parts of her innate cursed technique. Resonance links a straw doll with a piece connected to the target. Nobara strikes the doll with a cursed energy-imbued nail, transferring and amplifying the impact to the target from a distance. Her hairpin ability adds a second layer. Cursed energy remotely detonates nails already embedded in a target. It does not require her to strike each nail again. The connection also works when her usual equipment is missing. In the second official light novel, she uses her heel as a substitute nail and rope as a makeshift doll, successfully performing the technique.